What's going on, Monster Jam fans, and welcome to Let's Drive With, the series where we take your favorite monster trucks out for a stroll and go through their entire career from beginning to now. Well, in front of us, we've got the jolly green giant, the mean green machine, Avenger. Avenger is a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air monster truck owned by Team Scream Racing and driven by none other than Jim Koehler from Columbus, Michigan. The truck serves as the flagship truck for the team. Since its debut in 1997, the truck has become a staple of multiple monster truck leagues, including Monster Truck Throwdown and Monster Jam, the latter of which is where the truck is famous for participating in every single Monster Jam World Finals with the exact same driver, and has also been known for using various paint schemes during the World Finals matches. The truck has also won 2 World Freestyle Championships in 2003 and again in 2011. Avenger was originally built in 1996 by Jim Koehler and would begin competition the following year, with Koehler doing the driving. At the time of the truck's debut, it originally featured a Chevy S10 body style. Coincidentally, in 1997, Alan Pizzo also debuted a truck with the exact same name. Pizzo would let Koehler keep the name and rename his truck to Carnivore after learning that the name was from his father's drag racing car. In 1999, during an event in Pontiac, Avenger collided with Black Widow. Black Widow clipped Avenger's left front tire, breaking the front end, which caused the truck to flip. In April, Jim would compete at the St. Louis World Finals. In 2000, Avenger would suffer a wild crash in New Orleans in the finals against NWO, which would damage the truck's original body. As a result, the truck would receive an updated Chevy S10 body style, which debuted at World Finals 1. 2001, Frank Kermel did a fill-in for Jim at an unknown location. This would be his first time driving, and at World Finals 2, Jim would win his round 1 race against Spider-Man, but broke the rear tie rod. He would get the truck fixed, but then a tire would go flat and he was unable to finish the race. In freestyle, Jim would jump a motorhome, then get stuck in between it and the ramp with a broken rear tie rod. Jim decided to drive right through the motorhome. He would end up finishing 4th in freestyle with a 34 score. In 2002, Avenger would debut the first incarnation of the iconic 1957 Chevy Bel Air body in Indianapolis. The truck would also make its first video game appearance in Monster Jam Maximum Destruction. In 2003, in February, Jim performs a double duty by driving Avenger and Gravedigger for Dennis Anderson on a Saturday night in good old Philadelphia. At World Finals 4, Jim would win that year's Freestyle Championship with a score of 37. Avenger would debut an orange design for World Finals 5, which would begin the tradition of the truck running a special design for every World Finals. However, during the truck's performance in the freestyle competition, the truck would bend a 4-link bar after its second hit, breaking the transmission in the process. In May of that year, the truck ran as Route 66 as a one-off at an event in Jolie, Illinois. In October of that same year, Jim ran the orange paint scheme again for a show that was held very close to Halloween. In 2005, Avenger would run a dual-sided paint scheme for World Finals 6, with the right side being the orange paint scheme from the previous World Finals, and the other side featuring the standard forest green paint scheme. During its freestyle performance, the truck would clip one of the tires of Gravedigger, which was on the semi-trailer obstacle. It caused the truck to roll over. However, Koehler would jump into the fountain obstacle afterwards, starting another World Finals tradition for Koehler all the way up until 2024. In 2006, during freestyle at the Monster Jam event in Indianapolis, Koehler towards the racing lane and sent the truck and got some massive air and did a little sky wheelie over the car stack. The truck then landed on the rear, where it would break both of the rear wheels off at the same time and then roll over. At World Final 7, the truck featured a chrome paint scheme. During its freestyle performance, the truck would perform a lawn dart following a massive leap over the fountain obstacle. That moment would be featured on the World Finals DVD cover. In 2008 at the World Finals, a bright green design was used, and in June, Rich Higglendorf drove Avenger on the Spike Unleashed chassis during the Monster Truck Challenge event in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. In September, the truck would receive a brand new chassis and would also receive a new paint scheme featuring a slightly lighter shade of dark green. In December, Koehler would win freestyle in Minneapolis. In 2009, the original Avenger chassis would be converted into Wrecking Crew, which ran on the chassis all the way up until 2017. In February, the truck won the freestyle competition in St. Louis, and in Dayton, Ohio, a plush truck stuffy was actually taped to the side of the truck for one of the shows, and it looked really cool. At World Finals 10, Avenger would debut a blue scuba paint scheme. Unfortunately, Koehler and the truck would experience poor luck during that event, as they would not only be eliminated in the first round of racing by teammate Chris Bergenen in Brutus, but would also score a 4 in freestyle. The truck would also run a neon teal body for the Monster Mash Tour and an alternate green body with a Fig Newton decal on the windshield, possibly a reference to the 2006 movie Talladega Nights, that old movie with Ricky Bobby. Meanwhile, another Avenger would be built overseas in Australia. Koehler would drive that truck to the Freestyle Championship at the South Pacific World Finals. In 2010, Avenger would win the freestyle competition in Minneapolis in January. Then, at World Finals 11, Avenger would run a black paint scheme with white flames, which Mark Schroeder would dub the Rat Rod Avenger. In November of that year, Jim won the Freestyle Championship at the second South Pacific World Finals. In 2011, Avenger would receive a new lime green paint scheme and an upscaled logo. At World Finals 12, the truck would sport a red paint scheme for the World Finals, with Koehler capturing his second World Freestyle Championship, tying with Nitro Circus driver Cam McQueen. Rich Higglendorf drove the truck again at the four-wheel jamboree in Indianapolis that year. In 2012 at the World Finals, a yellow design was used and ran for that event. Later in the year, Paul Schaefer announced that the Australian Avenger would be retired and the chassis was converted into Tassie Devil. At 2013 World Finals, Jim used a dark red Garner's towing body. In 2014, during qualifying in Atlanta, Avenger collided with El Toro Loco going into the final turn. Avenger then high-sided, and as Koehler attempted to save the truck, he went in between the turning cars and back towards the one racing jump where Chuck Werner was finishing his qualifying pass in El Toro Loco. Avenger then drove straight into the left side of Loco and proceeded to bounce off and flip. Even though both trucks were damaged, and El Toro Loco had minor damage and Avenger had severe damage, both drivers thankfully walked away uninjured. El Toro Loco would return for round 1 of racing, and Avenger would not return until the freestyle event. At World Finals 15, Jim would run a purple body where he would end up finishing 10th in freestyle. In 2015, Avenger would be selected as one of the 16 trucks to compete in the inaugural Fox Sports 1 Championship Series. Despite not winning any event in the series, at one point during it, Jim humorously ran a roof decal that said, "Rockin' 0 points." The truck was invited to compete at World Final 16 and ran a white paint scheme for it. As a joke, Avenger had an onboard shot of the chassis with a BKT sticker. Jim didn't have BKT tires on the truck yet, and next to the BKT sticker it wrote, "I wish." During freestyle, the truck would gain lots of momentum after doing a lot of cyclone donuts, and after that he would drive a long way to a very small but very steep ramp to which he would send the truck insanely high. While the truck had started leaning backwards mid-air, he would land violently hard on the rear landing with no rebound at all. Koehler was thankfully uninjured from that wreck. That same year, the World Finals 10 scuba paint scheme would be run exclusively at the Monsters on the Beach event at Wildwood, New Jersey. In 2016, Avenger would again compete on the Fox Sports 1 Championship Series, where Jim would win donut championships in Atlanta, Orlando, and Detroit. At World Finals 17, Avenger would run a rusty junkyard design with one green fender on the front right. That year's World Finals also had a smaller controversy going with Avenger's theme song, which was an Ozzy Osbourne song, and unless you guys are super interested in how copyright works on YouTube, I'm not going to go too much into it. Around the summer, Koehler ran a roof decal that said "Rockin' 50 years" to celebrate Jim's 50th birthday. The decal was run again at Monster Spectacular in 2018. In 2017, which was the 20th anniversary of Avenger, he would celebrate it and would put a special design to commemorate the occasion. That design would feature the return of the Chevy S10 body style with gradient flames. Meanwhile, the truck competed on the Fox Sports 1 Championship Series East yet again. At World Finals 18, the truck would run a special dark green paint scheme. It would also debut a new chassis designed by Corey Rummel. As for the previous chassis, it would be used as a new one for Wrecking Crew and later for the team's newest truck, Axe. Koehler and the truck would go on to have what was arguably considered their best World Finals performance, making it all the way to the semifinals in racing, only to lose to Ryan Anderson in Son of a Digger, and he would also finish third in freestyle. Jim also did his first World Finals backflip at this event. In April, Corey Rummel would actually drive the truck in Evansville, which had the Bel Air body running. In 2018, Avenger would resume using its 1957 Bel Air body style. Koehler and the truck competed on Stadium Championship Series 1, winning freestyle championships in both Anaheim shows and the second Atlanta show. For World Finals 19, the truck received a special dark green Nomad body, but unfortunately the truck did one hit before flipping over backwards. Late in the year, Jim's brother Steve would drive the truck for one unknown show before retiring. In 2019, Avenger competed on Stadium Championship Series 1. In New Orleans, the truck would run as Monster Mutt with Jim driving. At World Finals 20, the truck would debut at a special Steps Towing sponsored patriotic themed paint scheme. The truck would also compete in the inaugural high jump competition. In October, the truck would be invited to participate in the inaugural Monster Jam All-Star Challenge, being drafted into Team Fire. For that occasion, the truck debuted a special fire paint scheme, which is still occasionally run to this day. During that event's freestyle competition, Jim launched the truck on the first hit coming down Thunder Alley, trying to duplicate what Cynthia Gaudier did a few freestyles prior. The truck got huge air, but in a bad angle, and violently crash landed on the truck's nose, breaking off both front wheels in the process. The truck then did a slow forward roll and landed upright. Once again, miraculously, Jim was not injured. In December, the fire paint scheme would be run in Monster Jam's final stadium show of the year in Minneapolis. In 2020, Avenger competed on Stadium Championship Series Red. During the series, Koehler and the truck would score their first overall event championship in the series' opening event in Anaheim and would go on to finish 7th in the standings. That year, the series was abruptly cut short in March due to the pandemic, but Avenger would compete in select events throughout the remainder of the season. The S10 design would also be run in select monster truck throwdown events for the remainder of the season. In November, Avenger 1 was stripped and currently resides outside of their shop. In 2021, Avenger would compete in the Stadium Championship Series. The truck would also run various paint schemes for various events of the years. A few of those include the All-Star Fire paint scheme from the All-Star Challenge, which would be run in the second weekend of the Houston shows as well as in Arlington and St. Louis. The World Finals 20 paint scheme was ran in Orlando and Indianapolis, and the World Finals 10 paint scheme in Jacksonville. The truck would also campaign the S10 body for select shows, including Monster Jam's inaugural shows at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. In Tampa, the truck debuted a special white and green paint scheme sponsored by Global. In June, the truck won 2 racing championships in both shows in St. Louis, which marked the first and currently only stadium racing wins for Jim Koehler and Avenger. In 2022, Avenger competed on Stadium Championship Series Yellow and celebrated the truck's 25th anniversary. Like the previous years, the truck began running older paint schemes at different shows, and here's a quick rundown of them. The World Finals 20 design at Houston, Glendale, and Miami. The Fire design at World Finals 10 at Anaheim, Show 2. The World Finals 20 design would return for the 3rd time that year at the 3rd weekend at the same location, and the truck would also bring back its Fire body to the Miami shows. The S10 body was ran in Syracuse, and the World Finals 11 Rat Rod paint scheme in East Rutherford. The World Finals 28 body during the World Finals high jump competition. Avenger was changing clothes a lot that year. Avenger would finish 8th in point standings and would later get an invite to World Finals 21. During the World Finals, Jim would debut a new silver and green glow in the dark 25th anniversary body. He would also bring back the World Finals 17 junkyard design, 18th to 20th anniversary design, which he would also use in the high jump, and multiple destroyed fiberglass pieces of former bodies to display for the pit party. He would use the 20th anniversary body on the Brutus chassis for the high jump competition to preserve his actual chassis and the new body for freestyle. That's where he would actually finish 15th after a big jump off of a small ramp where he ended up breaking a tire as well as a header. In June, the World Finals 21 body would return in Cleveland. Later that year, the Rat Rod paint scheme was used as an exhibition event at the International Monster Truck Museum and Hall of Fame. In 2023, Avenger competed on the Blue Stadium Tour, where older paint schemes were once again ran. Those included World Finals 20, Avenger Fire, the World Finals 28 20th Anniversary one, the World Finals 11 Rat Rod paint scheme at a lot of different events. In Indianapolis, the truck actually ran a brand new Garner Towing sponsored Chevrolet C10 body, which was pretty unique. Despite finishing 8th in the standings for a 2nd year in a row, the truck would be invited to the World Finals in Nashville, debuting a brand new gray country music themed design. And for any of you paying attention, that's one of the liveries in Monster Jam Showdown. During the summer, Chris Koehler would drive the truck at various independent shows. In November, Jim would also be invited to compete at the Superstar Challenge in Anaheim as part of Team Nitro. The truck would run a purple body that was similar to the one used at World Finals 25. In 2024, Avenger competed on the West Stadium Tour, where it would run various paint schemes and a few new ones. Notable ones were, of course, Avenger Fire, the S10 body. Though it wasn't a returning truck, there was a throwback to the World Finals 6 paint scheme that was run in El Paso, and a special light blue paint scheme was run in Detroit. In March, Jim would win freestyle in Seattle, which was his first freestyle win since the February Houston show all the way back in 2021. Avenger would finish 11th in the standings, yet would still be invited to compete at World Finals 23 in LA with a brand new graffiti paint scheme. Barry Musauer's crew chief helped design the body, and he would be invited to compete in the high jump for the very first time. He actually ended up winning the Stadium Freestyle of the Year award. In July, Chris Koehler would drive the truck in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and again in West Lebanon, New York. The Nitro body would return in Clearbrook, Virginia, in Dunbar, Pennsylvania, and in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. In August, Joey Foley would run the standard green 57 Chevy body in Fremont, Michigan, and he drove the truck again, but this time it was in Granbury, Quebec, Canada. Avenger Fire competes at its first independent show in Edmonton, Alberta that year, and the graffiti design would return in Butler, Indiana. Well guys, that is everything you could ever need to know about the Mean Green Machine Avenger. I hope you enjoyed learning about this truck as much as I did. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, share the video, but most importantly, what truck do you want to learn about next? Comment below and tell me which truck you want me to do. So until next time, be good to one another and always treat others the way you would want to be treated. So until then, we'll see ya!